Hi y'all, it's Miss Guyona. Sorry I can't be here today. Since I can't be here and we have a lot to do, I went ahead and decided to make this video so that you guys could watch this video, fill out your notes, and hopefully learn everything we're supposed to have learned today. Obviously, there's a sub in the classroom, and I expect that you guys are on your best behavior. We know that consequences for behaviors that are not acceptable are going to be much harsher for when a sub's present. So hopefully you're on your best behavior. Okay. Also, this paper that we're filling out together needs to be filled out completely. Everything that I write on my paper needs to be on your paper. They will be collected at the end of the period, and I will look through them to make sure that you are on task and doing what you're supposed to do. Remember, these are your notes, and notes are there to help you, so you want to make sure that you're taking all the notes down and writing everything down. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So when you walked in today, you picked up this paper. We're going to be filling it in together. All right, let's get started. Number one, it says, at Olives Unlimited, 2 pounds of green olives sells for $5. At Munching Mediterranean, 1/2 pound of green olives cost $1.50. Which store offers the better deal? All right, the first thing we have to do is create a table of values and determine the unit rate for 1 pound of olives at each store. So, unit rate, I'm boxing that in, and I'm going to come over here and write myself a little note. We know that unit rate can be found by dividing y by x. Alrighty. Next thing I'm looking at are 2 tables. They give us each of the different stores, the number of pounds, total cost. All we have to do is plug in the information. So we know that 2 pounds of green olives sells for $5 at Olives Unlimited. So here at Olives Unlimited, I'm going to say number of pounds, 2. Total cost, $5. At Munching Mediterranean, 1/2 pound of green olives costs $1.50. So number of pounds, 1/2. Total cost, $1.50. All right, create a table of values, determine the unit rate for 1 pound of olives at each store. So number of pounds, I want to know how much does 1 pound cost at this store and this store. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to find, we know the unit rate is the price for 1, and we can find that by dividing y by x. What else do we know about y divided by x? It's a lot of different things. Not only is it the unit rate, but it's also the k value. And some of you might be thinking, oh, it's also constant of proportionality. Well, yeah, if we do have y divided by x for every row and it's the same, then we do have a constant of proportionality and would mean our relationship is proportional. I will tell you that these are. And so when we're finding y divided by x, we're also finding our k value. Okay? So when I do my work, I'm going to do it here. It says, how did the unit rates for each store compare? And I'm just going to kind of do it here. I'm going to do this store here, this store here. So here I'm going to write k equals y divided by x. I am looking at, again, for unit rate, which we know is y divided by x, but I'm just putting this out to the side because that's also our k value. We're going to need that for the next step when we have to write an equation. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that here. So for Olives Unlimited, y divided by x. My y is 5, my x is 2. So up top I'm going to write 5, and below I'm going to write 2. Y divided by x. 5 divided by 2. We know 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract, we get 1. I got a remainder, so I'm going to have to add a decimal, bring that decimal up. Add a 0, bring that 0 down. And now I have, how many times does 2 go into 10? And we know 2 goes into 10 exactly 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, we're done. So 5 divided by 2 equals 2.5. Guys, we have found our k value. I'm just going to jot that down. K equals 2.5. Okay? We also know not only is that k value our unit rate, but it's also our coefficient. So I'm going to take my K value and I'm going to plug it into my process. And that process is going to be 2.5 times my X value, which is 2. 2.5 times 2 is 5. We just divided 5 by 2 and got 2.5. So it's like fact families. We know that this times this equals this. So 2.5 times 2 equals 5. And that's exactly what we have in our process here. So if I'm trying to find the total, the cost for 1 pound, I would use that same process. I would say, well, 2.5 times my X value, which is 1, and that would give me my total cost. So 2.5 times 1 is 2.5. Or I could even add that 0 there because we're talking about money, and now I can say my total cost is $2.50. All right, let's go over here and look at Munching Mediterranean. Again, we know that K equals Y divided by X. Y divided by X is how I find my unit rate, but it's also my K value. For Y, we have $1.50, or 1.5. For X, we have half, or 0.5. Okay, we're going to go off to the side and divide that. So I have 0.5. So 1.5 divided by 0.5. If I have a decimal on the outside, I have to slide. That means this decimal slides right here one space, and now it's behind the 5, which I don't really have to write, but I can. That's gone. This decimal is now here behind the 5. That's gone. So now I'm looking at this whole number because the decimal's behind. This is the number 5, and this is the number 15. So this is 15 divided by 5. Well, we know 5 goes into 15 exactly 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. We subtract and we're done. So 1.5 divided by 0.5 equals 3. So our K value is 3. If our K value is 3, our coefficient is 3. That's what we put first in our process. Then we multiply it times our X value. 3 times 0.5, we already know, is 1.5, or $1.50. If we want to find the price for 1 pound, we use that same process. 3 times 1 is 3. Or we could even write it like this, $3. So when I'm comparing, it says, how do the unit rates for each store compare? Well, at Olives Unlimited, the unit rate is $2.50. At Munching Mediterranean, the unit rate is $3. Okay? That's how they compare. All right, next it says to write an equation for each store in the form of Y equals KX, which shows the relationship of pounds X to the total cost Y. So again, I'm just going to kind of do this. I'm doing this store here on this side, this store here on this side. I'm kind of dividing this up into 2 sides. So Olives Unlimited, our K value is 2.5. We know that the equation is going to be in the form of Y equals KX. This is a proportional relationship. There's nothing added or subtracted. We just multiply our K value times our X. So here I would have Y equals, what am I plugging in for K? 2.5. Our K value is 2.5. And then our X just goes right there. So the equation is Y equals 2.5X. That is the equation for Olives Unlimited. Over here at Munching Mediterranean, again, our equation is in the form of Y equals KX. What am I plugging in for K? 3. And our X just goes straight down. So our equation is Y equals 3X. All right, this is the same scenario. It just states it for us again. At Olives Unlimited, 2 pounds of green olives sell for $5. At Munching Mediterranean, a half a pound of green olives costs $1.50. Which store offers the better deal? So when we're talking about better deal, when we were looking at this before, 2 pounds, half a pound, this is $5, this is $1.50. It's not really easy for me to tell what's the better deal because I'm not comparing the same amount of pounds to the same amount of pounds. But now I can look at this and say, well, each pound at Olives Unlimited costs $2.50. I'm going to take $2.50 and multiply it by however many pounds I get. If I multiply it by 1, I can see 1 pound is $2.50. How much is 1 pound at Munching Mediterranean? $3. So now I can compare 1 pound to 1 pound. So which store offers the better deal? Hopefully you're thinking it's this store right here, because 1 pound is 50 cents cheaper at this store than this store. Is 2 pounds still going to be cheaper at this store than this store? If I multiply 3 times 2, that's going to give me $6. Is $6 cheaper than $5? Yes. Okay, this is cheaper per pound. So we're going to say, which store offers the better deal? We will say Olives Unlimited. And how do you know? Well, we just kind of talked about that. I would say the price per pound is lower at Olives Unlimited. The unit rate is lower at Olives Unlimited. Okay, so I would say unit rate is lower at Olives Unlimited. We could even say by 50 cents per pound if you wanted to be more detailed, right? It's cheaper by 50 cents a pound, and that makes a difference. All right, so next question says, how might we find the unit rate from this scenario? We're going to answer that in a minute, but I want to look at the graph really quickly. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to try my best here to get zoomed in here so we can talk about this graph for just a minute. When we look at this graph, y'all, this line right here is Olives Unlimited. This line right here is Munching Mediterranean. Number of pounds, total cost. Hopefully you can see that Munching Mediterranean, the line is above Olives Unlimited the entire time, except maybe a little bit down here, which I can't tell, but whatever. It's above the entire time. So hopefully you can see that the total cost is going to be higher excuse me, at Munching Mediterranean. That's because their unit rate is higher. When we want to find unit rate looking at a graph, we can go and say, well, how much does it cost for 1 pound? We're going to compare 1 pound to 1 pound. So at Olives Unlimited, that's this bottom line. I'm going to go to 1. When X is 1, whatever my Y value is, that's my unit rate. And it appears that 1 hits this line right here. And although just looking at the graph, I wouldn't be comfortable saying for sure that it's 250, but I can see it hits right in between this 2 and this next line here, which is 3. So I could approximate that, yeah, 1 pound is probably about $2.50 at Olives Unlimited. But when I look at Munching Mediterranean and I go to 1 and I go up to their line, that's exactly on 3. So again, I can kind of see my unit rate here. When X is 1 on a graph, you go where X is 1 and up to the line, and whatever Y is, that's your unit rate. We've talked about that before. In an equation, y'all, how do you find unit rate in an equation? It is your what? Your coefficient. My unit rate, I can look at this equation and go, oh, the unit rate's 2.5. Oh, the unit rate is 3. That's what this next section is saying to us right here. It says the better buy, let's go ahead and fill this in. The better buy is the item with the lower, or I guess I should say lowest, unit rate or unit price. Okay. Now, it says we can find the unit rate, which is y divided by x, in the table. We can find it in the equation y equals kx. We can find it on the graph. And we can find it by dividing the dependent quantity by the independent quantity in the scenario. So, y'all, right here, by dividing the dependent quantity by the independent quantity in the scenario. Y'all, that is our answer to this question where they ask in the scenario. How might we find the unit rate from the scenario? Well, it's telling us in the scenario we would divide the dependent quantity by the independent quantity. Hopefully that's like ringing some bells for you, because y'all, the dependent quantity is y. And you're going to divide it by the independent quantity, which is x. That's y divided by x. That's how we find unit rate. Okay? And that's what we did up there for these examples. We just did y divided by x. We did the dependent quantity divided by the independent quantity based on this scenario. Really quickly, it says where can we find, I'm sorry, not where can we. It says we can find the unit rate, y divided by x, in the table. We can find it in the table by going to where x equals 1. If we don't have x equals 1, we do y divided by x. We can find it on the graph by going to x equals 1. We can find it in the scenario by dividing the dependent quantity by the independent quantity. That's what this is saying to us. All right, lots of words. Let's move on. Number 5. So it looks like Olives Unlimited needs to rent a van to make deliveries while their van is being repaired. They want us to use the information in the tables below to determine the better rental deal. Okay, at Rent-it-all, they give us the number of days, total rental cost. At A1 Rentals, again, number of days, total rental cost. And then there's a question. It says, just by looking at the tables, are you able to make a decision? Why or why not? Well, what decision are we trying to make? Use the information in the tables to determine the better rental deal. So, y'all, we're looking for the better buy, the best use of our money. We're looking for the cheapest cost, the lowest unit rate. Can we determine that just by looking at these tables? That's what this question is asking. And hopefully, right now you're thinking, no, we cannot. That's the answer. No. No, we can't. Just by looking at the tables, are you able to make a decision? Nope. No. Why or why not? Well, my answer is no, and here's why. Because when I'm comparing, I can't compare 3 days to 3 days down here. It doesn't offer me that option. Okay, this has 3 days, 4 days, 6 days, 9 days. Down here it has 2, 5, 7, 8. Are any of these the same amount of days? No. So can I compare? Like accurately? Can I compare? I might be able to make kind of an educated guess, like, okay, well, you know, I don't know. There is a way to do it, and we're about to do that. Who thinks that they know? Well, I'm not here. I can't call on you, but maybe in your heads you're thinking, okay, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, and hopefully you are. So right here we're going to say, where it says why or why not, we're going to say we need to compare the same amount of days. Oh, oops, someone going off the screen. The same amount of days to determine the better deal. What I'm saying is we need to be able to compare 3 days to 3 days or 4 days to 4 days. None of these numbers are the same. Okay, or we could compare 1 day to 1 day. Is it possible for us to figure out how much it would cost for 1 day at this store? Yes, it is. Is it possible for us to compare determine how much 1 day would cost at this store? Yes, it is. And that's what we're about to do. All right, so make sure that you have this down. Y'all, we need to be able to compare the same amount of days to the same amount of days in order to determine the better deal. All right, let's go ahead and flip our papers. On the back, you're going to notice that we're continuing this problem. And y'all, we have tables here that are horizontal. We're used to seeing vertical tables, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this information and transfer it to the vertical tables on the back. All right, that's more what we're used to working with anyway. So there, it says to transfer the information into a vertical table with a process column. So if you were doing this on your own and they didn't give you these tables, but they gave you, they gave you these horizontal tables, you would want to create vertical tables with a process column. So that's what we're doing right now. All right? So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and also put the name of the company up top here. So this is going to be Rent It All. And this one is going to be A1 Rentals. All right. Rent It All, they gave us, the number of days that they gave us was 3, 4, 6, and 9. So that's what you should have here, 3, 4, 6, 9. And the corresponding costs were going to be 57, 76, 114, and 171. All right, over here at A1 Rentals, the days were 2, 5, 7, and 8. And the corresponding costs were 36, 90, 126, and 144. Okay? They want to know which company offers the better deal. I'll give you a minute to make sure you've got all that. Okay. So, I'm not sure if I've said it, but hopefully by now you're kind of realizing and understanding that when we're looking for the better deal, y'all, that means we're going to find the unit rate. So just go ahead and make note of that. Anytime you're looking for the best buy or the better deal, you need to find the unit rate. That's so that we can compare apples to apples. Okay? We can't compare 3 to 2 or 4 to 5 or 3 to 7 or 6 to 2. We need to compare 1 to 1. And it would be okay if they had 3 over here and 3 over here, and we could compare 3 to 3. We could look at the total cost and be able to compare. But none of these numbers are the same at all. So the best way for us to do that is find the number of the cost for one day here and the cost for one day here. So which company offers the better deal? I'm going to go ahead and kind of do this whole dividing. I'm going to do this here and this here. Okay? So again, we're going to be finding the unit rate, which is also our K value. We know K is equal to Y divided by X. Our Y value here is 57. Our X value corresponding to that is 3. And 57 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5, 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract, we get 2. Bring down our 7. 3 goes into 27, 9 times. Exactly. And we're done. So over here we would say K equals 19. All right, over here at A1 Rentals, again, K equals Y divided by X. Our unit rate is the same as our K value. Our Y value is 36. Our X value is 2. 36 divided by 2. Sorry, keep moving that. 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract, we get 1. Bring down our 6. 2 goes into 16 8 times. And we're done. So our K value here is 18. Alrighty. So which company offers the better deal? Our K value is our unit rate, and we said on the front side of our paper that the better buy is the item with the lowest unit rate or unit price. So our lowest unit rate here is 18. Y'all, if you can really think about this, and we can plug these into our process columns, but what we have found is the amount for one day. So if I had plugged in 1 on this table, which I don't have room for, but if I plugged in 1 here, well, let's go ahead and look at how this would be in our process first. Our coefficient is 18, and we would say 18 times 2 is how we get our total cost. 18 times 5 is how we get this total cost. All the way down, times 7, times 8. Over here, we would do the same thing. Our coefficient is 19, and we would say 19 times 3 is how we get our total cost here. 19 times 4, 19 times 6, 19 times 9. If we had room on both of these to do 1 day, our process would be 1 times our unit rate or our coefficient. What would we get for these columns? Hopefully you're thinking, well, at this store it would be 19, and at this store it would be 18, because we would be multiplying by 1. I'm trying to get you to see that the cost for 1 day at A1 Rentals is $18. The cost for 1 day at Rent-A-Doll is $19. So which company offers the better deal? Maybe you knew this like 3 minutes ago, but I wanted to make sure that I explained that. The company that offers the better deal is A1 Rentals. So go ahead and write that down. A1 Rentals. And how do you know? Because it has the lowest unit rate. Okay? Lowest unit rate. All right, so that's all for our notes. Y'all, we have practice on your own for the rest of the page here. You should have time, I hope, to get all of this done. I expect that you work your hardest and you show your work. Remember that we are doing y divided by x to find unit rate on most of these problems. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.